Hey, and welcome to Straight Talk with Andrea Joyce. I am your host, Andrea Joyce, author of 31 Ways to Self-Care. Thank you for coming in this week. We're going to continue with a conversation we started last week, and that was on purpose. We're going to talk briefly, this is Purpose Part 2, about the how and the when of your purpose. Now, last week I gave you an assignment to try to figure out your purpose. Pray about it, seek God, ask Him, what is your purpose if you don't know it? And then when you do have an idea about your purpose, find out the why, the what, and the who of that purpose, correct? So that was your homework for last week. This week we're going to talk about how and when. So let's get started with this. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for purchasing my book, 31 Ways to Self-Care. If you have not yet gotten it, it's available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle, the ebook, and it's also available on my website, www.authorandreajoyce.com. Get your copy today. Okay, so purpose, the thing that we are here to do. Everyone's purpose is different. There's no purpose that's too big or too small. I like to think of purpose as doing what you were created to do. Now, I don't want you to judge your purpose. I don't want you to look at your purpose and think it's not as important as someone else's. Do you know that there are some purposes that may seem small that are huge into the development of someone else's purpose? Let me give you an example. Say you're a janitor. You don't think that's an important purpose, but it is. Let's say you're the janitor of a school. I'm going to use school, even though I see another picture in my head. I'm going to use school. You're the janitor of a school and you're sweeping up and you notice a leak. You fix the leak before someone else can come by, walk and slide on it. They slide, fall, hit their head, sue the school, and now there's a lawsuit. So you may not think your purpose is relevant. You may not think your purpose is huge, but for somebody else, for something else, it is huge. I'm going to share with you the picture that I saw in my head. Say you're the janitor of a church. You feel your job is meaningless. It's not glamorous, and it's looked down upon. However, you cleaning the sanctuary allows people to come in to freely worship. It allows the pastor to come in to teach and preach. It allows the choir to come in and sing to the rafters. Your job is very important because without the cleanliness of the sanctuary, people wouldn't be able to focus the way they need to. They may be allergic to dust. You never know. So what you have done has helped everybody else accomplish what they need to accomplish. That's why there's never any small purpose. So I never want you to look down at your purpose or look sideways at your purpose as if it's not important, because it truly is. No matter what you are called to do, there is a reason for your purpose. Can I share something with you? Something unpopular, but it is true. Judas had a purpose. Judas had a purpose because his betrayal of Jesus caused Jesus to go to the cross. See, without that Judas, they would have not known where to find Jesus. They would not have known how to see him and to find him and to locate him. So they wouldn't have been able to carry out their plot to crucify him. So Judas was a necessary part of the resurrection of Jesus. Judas was a necessary part, I wanted to say it in this order, of the crucifixion of Jesus, the burial of Jesus, and the resurrection of Jesus. So I need you to understand that even your enemies serve a purpose in your life. How many people know that if it wasn't for your naysayers, your haters, your enemies, you wouldn't talk to God as much? How many of us have gone to God and said, Lord, please get this person off my back. This person has hurt me. This person has betrayed me. This person has backstabbed me. This person has lied on me. This person is telling non-truths and they're stressing me out. How many of us have gone to God and asked, Lord, can you get this person out of my life? Can you do something so they won't bother me anymore? How many people have gone to God and said, because they hurt me so much, I can't trust anyone but you. Because they let me down, Lord, I have to look to you because I don't know how else to do it. They promised me they were going to do this. They promised me they were going to do that, but they didn't. So now, Lord, I have to depend on you. Your enemies serve a purpose in your life, but you cannot allow your enemy's purpose to keep you from fulfilling your purpose. See, their purpose is to stop you. It's to hinder you. It is to distract you. It's to hold you back. That's their purpose. So you don't want them to win. See, that's the enemy's assignment, to cause you to stop. Because remember what we said last week, your purpose is directly tied to someone else. Someone else needs you to do the thing that you're supposed to do for their livelihood, for their life, for their breakthrough, for their blessing, for their come up. They are needing you to do what you're supposed to do. So you can't let your enemies win. And this is very important because there are many times as we're walking toward our purpose, walking to our purpose, walking through our purpose, walking in our purpose, that we get tripped up. Because the enemy doesn't want you to succeed. Please know that the enemy's mission is to keep you from doing the thing that God called you to do. So those moments when we feel frustrated, when we want to give up, we're not winning. And not only are we not winning, we're not allowing God's win. We're not allowing the person who's waiting for us, we're not allowing them to win. So you have to think of your purpose as bigger than yourself. It's bigger in a positive way for you. It's bigger in a positive way for the people who are waiting for it. And it's a big negative to your enemy, the enemy. Do you understand? So you propelling to your level of purpose is a direct attack against the enemy, a direct attack. So you succeeding is propelling you to success in so many levels, on so many levels. So I want you to think of it as a motivation. Not only are you succeeding for you, but you don't know how many people God has called to you. How many people are watching you? How many people are scared to believe, but when they hear your story, your testimony, now they're able to do it for themselves. Let me tell you something, and I'm going to be transparent with you. Remember, this is straight talk. And you know, if you followed any of my radio broadcasts, I'm honest and I'm transparent. Sometimes people say I'm a little too honest, a little too transparent, but this is straight talk. This is for the grown, okay? Now I lost my train of thought. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so I want to share something with you. As you're walking towards your purpose, there are going to be people who hinder you, who come in your way, who betray you. And you're going to get those moments where you want to lay under the cover, hide your head, and not do it. Can I be real with you? It happens to the best of us. It happens to all of us. You get to a place where you feel stagnant. You feel like you can't move any further than what you've moved because no one is cooperating. You had this idea to do something and you needed some people to help you with it. And the people promised that they were going to help you and they didn't. When it was time for you to produce, when it was time for you to get to the place where your idea needed to be produced, the people fell by the wayside. Now all of a sudden they're too busy. Now all of a sudden they don't have the financing. Now all of a sudden they need more information. They need more time. Now they need to talk to God. Now they don't know why you came to them in the first place because this is not their lane. You're going to get excuses. What I want to tell you is that even with those excuses, don't let it stop you. Find new people. Prayer is so important when it comes to everything, honestly. But because we're talking about purpose, Prayer is so important to your purpose because you need to hear from God. The people who may have been with you in one season may not be the same people God wants to help you in the next season. And it hurts. It's hurtful because you want to bring up people that you care about. You want to reward people for having your back, being your friend, being your ride or die, always being there. You want to help bring people up. You want to show some people that you did it, and you want them there to applaud you. You want them there to see that you may have started one way, but look at you now. And God says, remove those people, or he removes them himself. And now you're at a place where you're aggravated, frustrated. Surely you must not have heard from God. This could not be your purpose, because if it was the case, it would just flow. There would be no problems. There would be no issue. Wrong. The closer you are to your breakthrough, the closer you are to your blessing, the closer you are to tapping into your purpose, the bigger the hell that comes, the bigger the war that is poured out on you. It doesn't seem fair, but let me share this with you. One of the reasons for the heat is so that you can withstand where you're going. See, if you never went through heartbreak, trials, betrayal, devastation, disappointment, all the negative things, you would not be prepared for the bigger rejection, the bigger lies, the bigger people turning their backs on you and talking about you. You wouldn't be able to handle that because you were not tried by the fire in your present situation. So you had to go through hell in your present situation so you can toughen up, so you can strengthen, so that you'd be prepared for where you're headed. Don't forget also, there are trials because the devil, Satan, the enemy, does not want you to accomplish your goal. So every moment you turn around, you say, I'll quit, you give up, you don't open the book, you don't turn on the computer, you don't finish your plan, you don't do whatever you are called to do, he's laughing. Ha ha ha, I knocked them out, they can't do it, they won't do it. But something Cardi B said in one of her songs that I love, yes, I love Cardi B. Anybody who knows me knows I love God. I am sold out. Give me some Cardi B too. What she said was, I've been down 9 times, but I get back up 10. I'm not saying it the way she said it, word for word, verbatim, but that's what she said. And that made me cry when I heard that, because you think you are the only person struggling. You think you're the only person going through it. You think you're the only one that it's not working for. You see everybody around you flourishing. They're doing great. They're all in love. They're all rich. They all have great jobs. They all have great homes. They all have great cars. And you just don't fit in. You don't have bills covered the 1st of the month, the 15th of the month, the last of the month. You're struggling. So you feel like it's just you. But can I tell you something? Honestly, it's not. Every person on this planet has a struggle. Their struggle may not be your struggle. Their struggle may not be as big as your struggle. Their struggle may not be as intense as your struggle, but they still have a struggle. And this is what God showed me. Everybody is not equipped to handle everything. There are some people who you, and don't judge them, think have a lesser struggle than you. Well, that's their strength. That's what they can handle. So they're looking at you like, ooh, Lord, I don't want that. But guess what? There's someone who has a bigger struggle than you. I know it feels like your world is turned upside down and inside out. It's topsy-turvy. There's no way it could be worse until you meet that person who's going through 3 times the things that you're going through. And you look at them like, ooh, never mind. God, I'll take mine. I'll take my struggle. I'll take my storm. I'll take my trial. I'll take this tribulation. I don't want what they have. And you need to recognize that, because it's the same with purpose. There are no small purposes and there are no huge purposes. Everything is important. Every bit of what you learn, every tear you cry, everything you have been through is important to get you to the level that God needs you to go to in your purpose. I don't know who I needed to say that for, but you're struggling right now because you feel like you'll never make it. You feel like it's been disappointment after disappointment. It's been trial after trial. It's been one laugh after another. People are looking at you. They're looking down on you. They don't believe in you. They don't believe you. They don't know why you think you were called. Who are you and how dare you have the ambition that you have? And I'm here today to tell you to keep going forward. Keep moving forward. Keep progressing. Keep going. Do not stop. I know it hurts. I know it hurts. I know you're embarrassed. I know you feel some type of way. I know you feel the failure. I know you see it. But like Cardi B said, bend down 9 times, but get up 10. Every time you fall, get back up. Every time you fail, try again. When it doesn't work, do something different, but use the same thing. You may have to use a different formula, but do the same thing. What am I saying? If your purpose is to write a song, but every time you try to write a song, you have lyrics, but you don't have the music, the melody, the rhythm to go with it, try something different. Continue writing the song. Learn how to drum out a beat with your hands if you have to. Try to connect with some people. Be honest. One thing I learned about purpose is to be honest. Now, you don't need to be honest with the world, but God will cause some people to come to you and they need your honesty. They need to know you don't have it all together. They need to know you don't have the answer. They need to know you don't have the funding. They need to know you don't have the financing. They need to know you don't have the musician. They need to know you don't have the, I'm trying to think of musical terms and I can't think of anything, the melody. You don't have the sheet music. They need to know that because they are there specifically to provide what you need. And don't be surprised that once they provide what you need, that they disappear. Because that was their purpose. Their purpose was to get you from point A to point B. Now, God is saying, trust me, have faith in me to go from point B to point C, even when you don't see it, even when you don't know it. And you know how you do that? You do that by trusting him and continuing to do the thing he called you to do. Let me give you an example. And I will use myself often because I've been through a lot and I want my life to help somebody else. I'm a writer. I started out as a playwright. I didn't know that was my goal in life. I didn't know that's what was going to happen. That was not my intention. That was nothing I ever wanted to do. You know, from last week, I thought I was going to be a lawyer. That was my goal until it wasn't anymore. In 2007, I was homeless. I lived in a van, not a van, it was an SUV with my 3 kids for 3 months. During that time, I had nothing. We had, I want to say, 2 outfits each. One of the outfits that my kids had was their school uniform. They were blessed to go to private school, and I thank Pastor McDuffie for that, of Mighty Sons of God Fellowship Church in Paterson, New Jersey. My children were able to go to private school. And let me tell you why that was important. Because during our homelessness, their meals that they were able to eat at school were the meals that sustained them. They were not able to eat at home because we didn't have a home, nor did I have a job, nor did I have money, nor did I qualify for unemployment, nor did I qualify for food stamps, nor did I qualify for TANF. I qualified for nothing. I went down to the office to get help, to the government office to get help. And they told me because I could not provide money for the next month, they would not be able to help me. This is not lies. This is truth. 2 times it happened to me. 1 time in Paterson, New Jersey, and 1 time in Decatur, Georgia. The door got slammed in my face when I needed rental help. It was the winter time. So I had to, with the last money I had left, buy blankets, pillow. We had coats, thankfully, but we had 2 outfits. One of the outfits the kids had was their school uniform. We had to bathe in Dunkin' Donuts and Burger King. I will always honor those two places because had it not been for them, we would not have been able to be clean. We bathed, brushed our teeth, changed from one pair of clothes to the next. I would have to go to the laundromat and wash their clothes every 2 or 3 days. My oldest daughter got clowned because her milk spilled in her book bag, and I wasn't able to wash it right away because I didn't have the funds for it, so it was smelly. So she got clowned for that. Things that I went through during homelessness almost broke me. I'm not even going to go into what was going on in my family at that time, but I was almost broken. I wasn't in relationship at that time with my mom, with other family members. So my sister was in Georgia. I was in New Jersey. My brother was in Georgia. I was in Jersey. So I wouldn't have been able to get help from them. My cousins, everybody was in Georgia. And so here I am, homeless, taking coins where I can to go wash clothes so the kids can be a little clean. You know what I'm saying? I would offer rides to people. This is before Uber. Hell, I should have had the idea of marketing this because I was probably the first Uber and Lyft. I offered rides to people in order to get their money from them, or a cab. I guess that was a cab service. So I would have money to buy something for the kids to eat that night and to be able to wash their clothes. So anyway, as I dropped them off, I wanted them to have a normal life. And a lot of you already know this story, but it's so apropos for right now. I wanted them to have a sane, civilized life. So my oldest daughter became involved in a stage play. And while she was going to that stage play, I would be there for some of the practices. I was not comfortable in the atmosphere where they rehearsed. There were a lot of spirits. There was a lot going on, and it irritated my spirit. Like I wasn't comfortable there. And so I began praying. And I thank God for prayer. I began praying and saying, Lord, please send a Christian playwright. Please send a playwright with integrity. Please send, and it wasn't the playwright that was the issue. It was the atmosphere. Please hear me, because I don't want you to think that. But I'm just like someone who has space where it's not a part of something else, that it's separate from the spirits that are in here and the things that are going on in here and the discomfort. Let someone please do a play that I don't have to worry about my child being jumped on or hurt, or it was so much. At the end of my prayer, God's voice came to me. It was so clear. It is as if I'm talking to you right now, is how he was talking to me. He said, write it. And I said, what do you mean write it? I'm not talking about me. I'm not a writer. I haven't written anything since the one class I took in college. Which English was that? Composition. I was like, I have not written anything since then. And this was 2005, 2006. And I was like, and I didn't even write right then. But anyway, God told me to write it. And he wouldn't say anything else. Now I done prayed this prayer. I done called on the Holy Spirit. I done called on Jesus. I done called on the angels. I done come on. This is my prayer. Whoo! I done sweated, broke out into a glisten. And his answer to me was, write it. So I caught a little attitude because I'm like, I didn't, wrong answer. And why won't you answer again? Because I told you that's the wrong answer. And it remained silent. So what I know about God is he answers. Sometimes it's not the answer that we want. So I went back to him because, I wasn't happy with the answer. So I need to go ahead and go back and talk to him. So I called myself giving him not an ultimatum, but some points that must happen, right? So I was like, okay, you say you want me to write this. I've never written before. I have no idea how a play is structured. I don't know how to do it. Everything, every excuse imaginable, still silent. I said, okay, so if you want me to do this, I need 3 things. And I gave him my list of the 3 things that I needed. And God was like, okay. But he didn't say the words, okay. I knew it was okay because the peace that came over the situation where I had to go and get a notebook. This is how I first started writing. I wrote my first play, Struggles, in 2007 while homeless with God as the lead writer. Now, we do know I need to produce that play, and prayerfully it will be produced between this year and the beginning of next year. If God says yes. But look at what I had to do to get to a part of my purpose. God's plan probably all along was for me to create plays that celebrated him, that celebrated life, that celebrated those that need healing, that celebrated the underdog, that celebrated the voiceless, that celebrated the abused, that celebrated the misused. Because that's what I write about. So I'm telling you that in my homelessness, not having a job, even though I was putting my resume out there, not having a home or anywhere stable to live, I wrote my first play. I would go to the park after dropping the kids off. It was a park in, I think it was Saddlebrook. I would go there. I loved it because it had like a brook. It had a bridge. It was beautiful. I would go there, park the car, get out, sit on the bench, and just write. I don't remember how long it took me to write the play, but it didn't take years. It didn't take months. It may have taken 1 month or a month and a half or weeks. I don't remember, but I was able to do something I had never, ever done before and realized my love of writing. I didn't realize my purpose during happy times. I didn't realize my purpose during carefree times. I didn't realize my purpose when everything was going good in my life. My purpose came to me during my trials, my struggle, my storm, my tribulation, my tears, my hurt, my rejection, my disappointment, my frustration, my aggravation, my embarrassment. That's when my purpose came. Not only did my purpose come, but I had to fulfill what I had to do. So just because I recognized one of my purposes, that wasn't enough. I had to actually walk in it. I had to actually write and complete my first play. Had I not done that, there would not be, I think I've written 14 plays in all. I've written a full-length movie. I've written 4 shorts. I've written the monologue series. I have about 20, 30 monologues, 2 mini plays. None of that would have come into fruition had it not been for the hell I was going through, me laying on my face praying for relief from my child, and God saying, okay, come on, I'm putting you in a game. And I'm sitting here like, that's not the answer I wanted. But imagine if I had my way. Imagine if me saying, no, I'm not going to do it, had been what God accepted. I wouldn't have Faith in Me Productions. I wouldn't have Legacy Entertainment Networks. There would be no author Andrea Joyce. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your purpose sometimes is tied to your pain. And a lot of us don't want pain, but realize that pain pushes you to purpose. You don't hear me though. It's important for you to be open when you are crying, wailing, throwing yourself, destroyed, feeling like you have no tomorrow, to reach out and pray to God and tell him what is causing you the pain. My pain came from me not being comfortable in the atmosphere my daughter was in. It wasn't the homelessness. It wasn't the not having food. It was not the sugar addiction, which we'll talk about, I'm pretty sure, during these 31 ways to self-care. It was through my daughter's pain. Me not being happy in the situation she was in. And because I was not happy in the situation she was in, I cried out to God with my whole heart to relieve her of that pain, relieve her of that situation. And he chose me to be the answer. So imagine if I had said, no, that's not good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the library and go on the free computer when it's available. And I'm going to look up playwrights, people who have plays, and I'm going to find somebody who can do this for her because I'm not going to do it. Imagine, had I done that, there would be none of this. None of this. Because I would have thrown away an opportunity that God had presented to me. I could have said, let me wait until I get to a place where I'm comfortable. Let me wait until I get to a place where everything is going okay. Let me get to a place where I feel better about myself, where I have a house, where I have somewhere stable to live, where the kids have clothes that are clean and more than 2 pair of clothes, and wait. But God said now. He said right now. He didn't even listen to my requests and my pleas. He didn't listen until I got to a place where I said, okay, now if I write this, I need these 3 things. He listened then because I said, okay. I said yes. I said, all right. I said, I'll do it. I need your help with these 3 things. I kind of did the Gideon, but I didn't do the Gideon at the same time because I didn't say, wet this cloth and keep the ground dry and then come back and say, keep the cloth dry and the ground wet. I didn't do that, but I did request 3 things from him and said, I can do it if you do these 3 things for me. And he did it. And now today, I have 3 businesses that directly stem from that prayer, from that dire straits situation. 3. So I'm saying to you, your purpose is sometimes tied to your pain and to your passion. Remember last week we talked about passion. What makes you cry, what makes you scream, what makes you shout, what elevates you, what disappoints you, what angers you. That passion, your purpose could be related directly to that. Your passion or your pain. Sometimes it's something you're great at. Sometimes it's something you've never done before. You can't put your purpose into a box or put you into a box trying to figure out your purpose. Because a lot of times your purpose has nothing to do with what you're doing. I wasn't writing. I didn't have a job as a writer. I had never written except for in school. Elementary, high school, college. But God had naturally given me talent to write. I never went to school to be a writer. You would laugh at me if I told you, not this book, but my next book, or the book after that, actually. I'm struggling so hard with editing it. It's the first book I ever wrote. And the editing is killing me. However, I didn't go to school. for editing. I did go to school and did very well in English. English was my favorite subject. However, commas and I are enemies. I just want you to know that. I have said that to you. However, I didn't officially go to school for it. I did take a class with my cousin for it. Thank God. Because had I not done that, I would really be bad right now. But I just want you to know, to walk into your purpose. Don't be scared of it. Don't throw yourself out of it or talk yourself out of it because you haven't been schooled in it. You haven't been educated for it. You haven't been trained to do it. Don't be frightened because there's something inside of you that can do it. God knows. He put you here. And if you can't do it fully, he's going to provide people that will teach you. You may have to sit under someone and see how they do things. Here's the great thing about sitting underneath someone. You find out how you want it done and how you don't want it done. You find out the right way to do it. You find out the wrong way to do it. Honestly, shadowing somebody is a great thing. Never think or despise that small beginning because you learn a lot. And then when it's your turn, you know how you want to do it. You know how you don't want to do it. I think that's an awesome blessing. Lessons that you need to have a successful business, purpose, you know what I'm saying. So now, last week we talked about the why, the what, the who, right? We talked about why this purpose. Why you? Why not you, I like to say. We talked about why it's important to you. Why are you passionate about it? We talked about the who. Who do you need to help you with this? Do you need anybody? Who is your audience? Who is your target? Who is this for? We talked about the what. What does it look like? What is the plan? Now this week, we're talking about how and when. I didn't want you to focus on this at first because the why, what, and who are very powerful questions and they would take time. So now that you know your why, what's, and who's, or you at least have some of it done, we can talk about how. How are you going to get this to work? And the reason I wanted you to wait for the how is because the how is what knocks a lot of us off the gate. A lot of left purposes, walked away purposes, thrown down purposes had to do with how. Because we take this whole big thing when it doesn't need to be that big. This is why prayer is important. Keep your how simple. Do not think of how am I going to service 1 million people? How are you going to service one person? How are you going to service the next person? How can you help the first person? How can you help the second person? How are you going to do it with one person? See, we want to take the whole painting. Now, my dad was famous for saying, look at the big picture. And yes, you should. You should always look at the big picture. But you remember those paint by number things that used to be in the comics section of the newspaper, and then we used to get them in our books? There would be a grouping of 1. And at the groupings of 1, you had to paint it, let's say, red. Then there'd be a grouping of number 2s. At the number 2, you might have to paint them yellow. Then there'd be a grouping of number 3, and you might have to paint the number 3s black. Then there'd be a grouping of number 4, and you might have to paint that green. I'm saying this to say that big picture you're looking at, because your purpose, your goal, your ambition is to service 1 million people, is to take that little corner 1 over there and color that first, or paint it first. Because remember, it was colored by numbers, but you could also use that the paint brush, put it in water, and the color would come on some of them. Take that number 1, the first one, and start coloring or painting that. Then go to the next one and the next one. By the time you're finished and you have looked up, your whole painting is colored or painted. Your whole big picture is taken care of. You have now serviced the 1 million people you said you wanted to service, but you started small. You started with one. That's your how. Yeah, the big picture is, how can I service 1 million people? Your answer is, start with one. So what service are you going to give that one person that's going to cause them to tell a neighbor, tell a family member, tell a friend, tell a coworker, tell a stranger on the street, hey, this service was so great that I have to recommend this person. I got to get on IG and talk about them. I have to boost them up on TikTok. I got to talk about them on Snapchat and Facebook. Word of mouth is the best advertisement you will ever get. Just like word of mouth is the worst advertisement you will get if you do something wrong or you mistreat somebody or a service. Keep that in mind. So now you have your how. How are you going to do it with one person? I don't want you to think about the 1 million, even though that's the goal. The goal is written. Write the vision. Make it plain. 1 million people. But you're going to focus on that one person, that one thing, that one item. That's your how. When trips us up. I'm telling you, God is great because he gave me these two to give to you this week. When trips us up because we want it right now. We want the $1 million right now. We want the clout right now. We want the followers right now. We want the billions right now. The problem is it can't be right now all of the time. Why not? Because you have work to do. You can't, for some of you, leave your job today because you haven't done the footwork. You can't leave your job yet. You have to have some money coming in order to pay the bills, so that is not your focus. Now, there are others who are called to leave their jobs and focus solely on their purpose. Yes, yes, yes. Now, I'm not telling you that you're not that person, but this is why you got to talk to God. Some of us leave our jobs too early. Some of us leave our jobs too late. And that's real. I want you to meditate on that. Let it marinate. Some of us leave our jobs too early. Some of us leave our jobs too late. This is why you have to be in constant communication with God so he can tell you where you are. And don't get angry with him and want your own answer. I know I left the job in the early 2000s before I was supposed to leave it. Because I had enough. I was frustrated. I didn't want it. I was done. I got on my nerves. If I can keep it real with you, I got on my nerves so bad. I promise you. I didn't like it. They just didn't do things the right way. They were trying to use me and this, that, and the third and blah, blah, blah. I just had it. I had enough. I was done. And I knew God called me to walk into my purpose of producing. I knew it. I know he called me for that. I know what I cry about. I know what I stay up at, late up at, what I stay late up. I can't even say it right. What I stay up late for at night. I know what it is. So I know there are a couple of purposes that God has revealed to me. And I know that I know. I'm glad and grateful that he taught them to me now. Here's the thing, though. Even though he called me for that, it wasn't time. I had nothing in place. I was just feeling my way. But I wanted the prestige. I wanted the fame. I wanted people to clap their hands for me. I wanted people to shout my name. I wanted the money. I wanted the fame and fortune. Can I be honest with you? You could judge me. It's fine. It's the truth anyhow. I won't lie to you. I wanted all of that. That was my goal. I had to have it. And I wanted it. Because I saw other people who had it. And I was like, hey, I can do that too. Let me do it. But it wasn't my time. It wasn't for me to do. It was not my time to do. But I was doing it anyway because I felt like it was just that time. And guess what happened? I walked away from the job. I started focusing on my purpose. It went well for a couple of weeks. And then guess what? Bills were due. Well, how was I going to pay the bills without the money? I couldn't pay for anything because my purpose wasn't paying. I needed to pay my purpose. Does that make sense? There's sometimes when you have to pour money into your purpose. So where are you getting this money from? Before your purpose can bless you, you've got to bless it. You've got to sow into it. You've got to water it. You've got to give it sunlight and rain. You have to nurture it before you can harvest it. Well, I'm trying to harvest something I just planted. And I couldn't. So I found myself in dire straits because I left too soon because of my ego and my pride. My win was not then. I needed to wait. But I just knew, oh no, I don't have to wait. I have talent. I have skill. I have connections. I know people. I didn't have equipment. I didn't have know-how. I didn't have seed money. I had nothing but my talent. And I'm laughing. It wasn't funny then. It still really isn't funny. It's still hurtful. But I'm laughing because I learned some things from that. Now, the problem was because I left too early in that situation, when the opportunity came knocking again for me to focus on my purpose, I let the knock go unanswered because I wasn't getting burned again. Hear me clearly. I didn't know. I'm not. Andrea, it's time. No, it's not. It's time for me to go back to this job and clock in. Andrea, it's time. No, it ain't time. It can't possibly be time because I didn't finish the assignment I had at the job. And so I stayed too long when God called me the next time. But here's what I love about God. Even though I wasn't ready, even though I stayed too long, he turned the heat up because he said, I said it's time. My people are perishing because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're not in line where you're supposed to be in line. So since you want to sit there and act like you're scared, I'm going to make it so that you have no choice. You don't ever want that either. You don't want to leave too early. You don't want to leave too late. If you stay in constant prayer with God, he'll tell you the right time and you'll know it. Even if he doesn't say it, you'll feel it. Because can I tell you, when he was telling me to move, I felt it. I knew. But I was scared. I was fearful. Because the last time I did this, I messed up. So here I am rehearsing that instead of trusting God and having faith. So then I stayed longer. And when I tell you the hell that came from staying longer than I should have stayed, I was hit physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, and financially. And I don't know which one was worse. Can I be honest with you? I was hit. Oh, when I tell you I was hit, every area of my life was going to hell because I sat too long in a position that was not mine. God told me to release it. He gave me the exact date. But even before he gave me the date to leave, I felt it was time to leave. I knew it was coming. But I let fear and rehearsing my past lead me to staying somewhere I was not called to be in the first place. God gave me grace because I wasn't supposed to be in the position that I was in. He gave me grace. And then he said, okay, that's enough because you weren't supposed to be here anyway. So now I need you to leave. And I was like, that good check. Okay, it wasn't a great check, but it was a good check. I can do some things with this. Let me just continue working so I can save up, so I can prepare, blah, blah, blah. Oh, all the stuff. I was bargaining with God. And guess what? God made it so hot in that position. He made it so hard for me to continue on. I had to leave. It was either leave or lose my life. That's how bad it was. I don't want you to lose your life. I want you to walk in your purpose. I want you to work your purpose. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So I want you to be in constant communication with God, with what you should be doing, why you're doing it, what you're doing, what it looks like, who's going to be there, who is your target, who are you doing this for, how is it going to get done, how are you going to service, how are you going to get to a level that you need to be at, how are you going to get to the level you need to be at, one person at a time, and when you should walk into this. If you ask God the who, what, when, where, and how, oh, I didn't even talk about the where, because the where is not important. Let me tell you why the where wasn't in this right here. The where isn't important because as you start walking into your purpose, God's going to reveal that. He is sure enough going to reveal to you the where. You can have a plan for where you want things to take place. You got the building, you got the city, you got the state, and God can disrupt everything and say, okay, that was great. You were going to do that in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, now I'm moving you to Charlotte, North Carolina. Or, oh, I thought you were going to do that in Texas. Well, I'm moving you to Hawaii. And you sitting there like, I have planned for. God laughs with our plans. I know he does. I know he laughs at our plans. And we sit here and still continue planning some things. It's good to plan, but plan for God to disrupt them and give you what you need. Because with him giving you what you need, you do it his way and he'll be able to bless you. So thank you for tuning in to Purpose Part 2 this week. I want you to listen to last week's podcast, and I want you to listen to this week's podcast, and I want you to email me. I want to hear some of your purposes. I want to hear some of your assignments, some of your callings, some of the things that you need to do, and I want to pray over them. Please don't take it lightly, your purpose, and don't take it as though someone wants to steal it from you, because 150 million people could have the same plan. And it'd be 150 million different ways because there's no one like you. No one can do it the way that you do it. So I just want to pray over you. You can email me at authorandreajoyce@gmail.com. authorandreajoyce@gmail.com. Don't forget to pick up 31 Ways to Self-Care. Self-care is so important. It's definitely going to be important as we go on this journey of discovering and walking into our purposes. I want you to be able to utilize the activities and the encouragements and the scriptures that are here to fortify you. So please, you can buy 31 Ways to Self-Care on Amazon. It's available paperback or Kindle ebook. It's also available on my website, www.authorandreajoyce.com. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you next week as we continue to self-care.